Welcome to Oxford News This Week. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Terry Stiles. Will the Village Oxford residents be paying higher property tax, or will water rates increase? A respected local doctor retires, and this week's Auto Talk will be delayed so that we can bring you the latest updates on village budget talks concerning local dispatch.
Stay tuned for these and other stories right after this.
Tractor Supply Company presented a preliminary site plan to the Oxford Township Planning Commission, which included plans to build on the west side of M24, south of Ray Road. DMK Development told the board they were relieved to find such a perfect site, which they have been trying to find since 2010.
But we feel for this area, for the C2 zone district that it's in, this retail use and then the accessory outdoor sales, it is a very good fit for this area. Tractor Supply actually looked at this area, this general area, and actually at the specific site back in 2010. And then they kind of went away to other areas of the state and developed, and now they're coming back to this. So there is definitely a need for this type of use in this area, and we're excited for it.
While neighboring residents agreed there is a need for a store in the community, they have a few concerns.
The concern that I want to raise is the additional light pollution that's going to be a result. The homes in that area are going to have a major hit when it comes to the tax assessment. I know the values are going to drop when you have that additional light that's impacting those homes in that area. So that is my true concern, is the additional light pollution that's going to result from this special permit.
We like the idea of the store, it's needed, but if they can show us that either there's going to be some type of wall, the trees are going to be very mature, that they will block all that, if that could be showed to us, I think that could solve a lot of problems.
The other concern I have, besides the lighting and having mature trees, would be to have some type of concrete wall, possibly opposed to a vinyl fence. That way, we're not actually seeing all the equipment that's outside. It's great that we're bringing new business to the area. I have no concerns with that.
Following the public hearing, Commissioner Jack Curtis made a motion on the plan.
I move that the Planning Commission grants preliminary site plan approval for the Tractor Supply. This approval is based on the following conditions. Number one, any unresolved issues related to the Township Planner's Review Letter dated April 20th, 2016. Number two, any unresolved issues related to the Township Engineer's Review Letter dated April 18th, 2016. Number three, any unresolved issues related to the Fire Department's Review Letter dated April 11th, 2016, with the addition that the latest NFPA standards will be met when installing the propane fill tank. Number four, all conditions pertaining to the special land use be applied to the final site plan.
The motion carried unanimously.
During the Oxford Village annual budget meeting, Village Manager Joe Young presented council with a proposed general fund budget totaling just over $2 million, with a proposed $900,000 for police and nearly $340,000 for support of Village 911 services for both Oxford and Lake Orion Dispatch. Village Council has the power to increase your property tax from its existing 10.62 mils to 14.02 without the vote of the people. By the time this newscast is aired, again, the Village Council will have decided to raise property tax or not. Another suggestion is to raise water rates due to a decrease from water revenues. Both alternatives are, of course, unpopular with some residents, feeling it might be time to cut Village 911 services in favor of lesser costs associated with Oakland County's 911 townships. And in Orion, Oxford, and Addison all say they have substantially cut their expenses by contracting police and 911 with Oakland County, and they say they are happy about making that decision.
In a special Oxford Village Council meeting this week, Council was presented an overall view of dispatch services by both the county and the Village Police Department. At the very start, Village Council President Sue Beausardet made it very clear the council is looking only for factual, non-emotional information.
As the village council continues through the village budget process, the village council wants to receive dispatch presentations from the current local dispatch services and from the county of Oakland. Village council is interested in facts, not politics and emotions. Village council needs a clear and factually correct presentation on the current dispatch services, its costs, potential upgrades, and potential expansion of service to other communities. From the county, the village council needs a clear and factual, correct presentation on the Oakland County services, the cost, and the project costs going forward.
Oakland County Chief Mel Myers stuck to the financial advantages of contracting with Oakland County Dispatch.
Is that budgeting and predictive budgeting, looking forward, futuring, whether it's 3 years, 5 years, et cetera, is a challenge. I understand that completely, and with this system, we've actually been able to lock in rates 3 years at a time. The costs are fixed. They don't change. Once you get the new contract, it's only been averaging 20-year average of 2.28% change. That's something that's in the contract. We're going to move that forward on a prorated basis if we were to contract in the middle of the year. We can update these numbers as we move forward, but right now we're looking at under $31,000 for the first year and then $31,115 for the second year. And after that, that's when we go back to the Board of Commissioners and we have them set the rates again for you for 3 more years.
As the presentations continued, Oxford Village Police Chief, he couldn't help but remind council of the emotional element to the issue.
As for instance, we had the so-called crash several years ago, and I guess all of our communities faced some financial difficulties. These officers were approached. They had a great contract, nice raises every year, great benefits, but they were approached by council to say, hey, can you help us out during our financial crisis here and probably take some pay freezes, take some concessions in your longevity, overtime, uniform allowance. Yeah, no problem. There was no buck about it. Because they're dedicated, they have a heart, they want it to help. They want to keep this thing going, to help the village out. And they just did that. And I've been through this a few times in my career. Most officers will say, wow, this is a bunch of BS. I ain't gonna do too much anymore. They didn't. They stayed on professional, they went back and still continued their effectiveness and up in dispatch.
Along with lead dispatcher Debbie Farrell, police chaplain Dave Gerber would not let council overlook the intangibles of having a local police department.
For this community, it is an integral part. It's another officer. It's another job they provide. We're a small department. We make do and we make things work like that. If we were to lose that, we lose a lot of intangibles that you can't get back. I liked what Major McCabe said when he came up. We're not here to sway you. One of the simple facts is I'm pretty sure if I know human nature, some of you already have your mind made up. Some of you don't. I'm not here to judge who that is. But I really think, I was nervous in church when people took notes, and this guy is taking notes. He's a very qualified person. He's going to be able to answer your questions. Debbie's going to be able to answer your questions. So that's not the thing. It's what does dispatch here mean versus how we understand dispatch and what it does for the department. I think that just needs to be highlighted. You need to understand it's part of an integrated whole. They're going to be able to say they can do a lot of stuff, and they are very capable. But can they do the intangibles?
After some tough questioning of the chief, new council member Eric Dolan wrapped up his concerns for the community budget.
We did. I guess, in essence, my question to you is, you had articulated that if this is about costs, let's sit down and come up with a plan. I have now participated in 3 to 4 budget meetings myself. You have been present in some and not in others. At this point, nobody has still been able to come up with a plan. My concern for the community is that if a plan is not developed, this community is not only going to lose the intangibles that dispatch provides, it theoretically could lose the intangibles of its officers. This is a situation which is fiscally significant. I understand this has been a presentation that has been made on several different occasions, to the tune of 10 years possibly. It has not been resolved at this point. Do you have a suggestion that could resolve this fiscal issue?
Resolve it, sir, is you know, I think the people, again, deserve this service here. Yes, it costs more. Yes, a local police department serves the community better. That's what this all boils down to, Eric. It's not about cost. I mean, yeah, it's about cost, but it's about giving a great service to your community.
Nobody disagrees with the
And
service
I can
chief.
say, yeah, you can go to county.
Did you ever wonder what to do with your old, worn out, or torn American flag? Well, you want to dispose of it in a respectful way, but don't know quite what the protocol is, right? The American flag represents more than just a piece of cloth. It signifies all that connects to those who gave their lives and those who continue the fight to make us safe and free. The only method of acceptable decommissioning is to burn it. You can also fold it, place it in a storage bag, and take it to the American Legion for honorable disposal. Once every year, Boy Scout Troop 108 collect flags from the American Legion and give them an honorable retirement. If you have questions, contact the 108 American Legion Hall located on West Rayner Road in Oxford.
As many of us have been under his care over the years, that trust has come to an end. For 70-year-old local Dr. Mateo Whites, his medical practice in Oxford has come to a retiring end. Whites, who has practiced in Oxford for more than 36 years, has announced his retirement from Oxford McLaren Oakland Medical Facility. Born in Austria, his family moved to the United States when he was 8, unable to speak a word of English. He studied and worked hard, graduating from Western Michigan University and then to Michigan State for his medical degree, and met his wife Catherine, who was a nurse at the hospital. Dr. Whites recalls when he first started in Oxford, he was asked to provide athletes with physicals, and when he agreed, the next week he was shocked to find over 200 students outside his office door. His advice to young people: follow their dreams, because experience has taught him any obstacles can be overcome. You will be missed, Dr. Whites. Best wishes in your retirement.
Officers arrived at Maynard Circle in a local trailer park when a resident told them someone was tampering with their mailbox. A couple who are new residents complained such incidents were often, and they would find their mailbox jammed, letters open, and spread on the ground. Residents were unable to determine who might be doing this, and neighbors were unable to identify suspicious activity. For future action, police advised the couple to contact the postmaster with a complaint along with a copy of the police report.
Oakland County Sheriff deputies responding to a fender bender at Lapeer and Ray Roads found an outstanding warrant for an arrest of a driver who caused the mishap. He was not arrested for the accident, but for 2 felony warrants, one for possession of firearms and the other for domestic assault.
And officers were also called to an address on Malaya Street in Oxford by a man claiming that he was walking his leashed dog when a blue-gray colored pit bull suddenly ran from an adjacent home and attacked his dog. Police checked the man's dog but found no visible injuries. The owner of the pit bull told the officers her dog did not have a license but had all of his shots up to date. The woman said the pit has never acted violent before. Officers notified animal control, who will be in touch with the woman. In the meantime, she was told to keep her pet confined to the home.
Well, that's it for Oxford News this week. We took up an extra time doing the Village News. If you want to learn more about these stories and others, stop by your local store and pick up a copy of the Oxford Leader newspaper, or better yet, catch us right here at Charter Channel 191 and AT&T Charter Channel 99.
And coming up next on
Hard one.
OCTV, Oxford Sports with Jamie Hughes. Catch Oxford School News with John Ochins.
And I'm Terry Stiles. This is Oxford News This Week, where we bring your news closer to home.
And I'm Elgin Nichols. Thanks for watching.
Welcome to Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from the publication New Scientist. In our first story, hey, seen a doctor lately? About 30% of the antibiotics prescribed by family doctors in the U.S. during home visits in 2010 and 2011, they weren't needed. A study of 184,000 visits found that for every 1,000 people in the population, 506 antibiotic prescriptions were given annually, and 153 of these were unnecessary. Wow. And on the scientific front, the world's largest scientific experiment is offline thanks to a beach martin. Oh, what the heck is that? The Large Hadron Collider at CERN came to a halt last week after the critter chewed through wiring attached to a 66 kilovolt electrical transformer. That fried the unfortunate animal and caused a CERN-wide power cut. I can confirm that we had some issues overnight with the electrical trouble, said CERN spokesman Arnaud Mercier on the Friday. We suspect it might be due to a small animal. The culprit was reported to be a weasel, but CERN subsequently identified it as a beach martin. That's important. It will take a few days to bring the collider back online, says Mercier, although the equipment should be easy to fix. The incident recalls a similar 2009 report of a cut in the LHC caused by a bird dropping a piece of baguette on a substation, but Mercier says that was a tall tale. CERN physicists are keen to resume the search for a mysterious particle weighing in at 750 giga-electron volts hinted at in earlier data. And on the medical front, Ebola refuses to die. Affected West African countries have repeatedly stopped transmission of the virus only for fresh outbreaks to appear seemingly out of nowhere. At least 7 of these outbreaks were triggered by the virus lingering silently in people who have recovered from Ebola. By tracking its evolution, researchers have now discovered how the virus does this. It totally shuts down. RNA viruses like Ebola make mistakes as they replicate their genes, but samples studied after a 2015 outbreak showed no new mistakes compared with samples taken 10 months earlier. To slow its mutation rate to a standstill, the virus must effectively have stopped replicating, something that has never been seen in viruses like Ebola. Ebola appears to be able to lurk undetected for 15 months. This means unknown numbers of the 17,000 people who survived the West African epidemic could pose an infection risk for some time. In March, 10 people in Guinea got Ebola after a man who had recovered from it infected his wife with semen. The outbreak was contained partly because 1,600 people received an experimental Ebola vaccine, and that drug firm Merck says that it will soon have 300,000 doses of this vaccine to help manage such flare-ups. To gauge the size of the problem, the World Health Organization is registering Ebola survivors and testing their semen. And in space, let's have a sniff. 3 exoplanets similar in size and temperature to our own are in orbit around an ultra-cool dwarf star. In the future, we could analyze their atmospheres for signs of life. A team led by Michael Guillon of the University of Liège in Belgium found the trio by using the Chilean-based TRAPPIST telescope to monitor the drop in brightness as the planets passed in front of their star. 2 of them are at the inner edge of the habitable zone, the region around the star that allows liquid water to exist, and 1 is in or beyond it. Although the exact mass of the triplets isn't known, the team estimates that these planets must be between 50% and twice Earth's mass. They are probably made of rocks and maybe ice, making them similar in composition to the solar system's terrestrial planets or the icy moons of giant planets. The dwarf star's size and brightness make it particularly suitable for transit spectroscopy, possibly with using the upcoming James Webb Space Telescope. That telescope could examine light absorbed by the planet's atmosphere and sniff out its gases. The amount of the absorption varies with wavelength and depends directly on the composition and physical conditions of the atmosphere. We've seen potentially habitable worlds in the past, and these 3 offer the best opportunity for study, says Guillon. For the first time, we have planets for which the atmospheric composition can be studied in detail with current technology. This has been used successfully in many cases, but never for planets as small as the Earth, and certainly not for planets in the water zone, says David Kipping of Columbia University in New York. He goes on to say there is a legitimate case to be made that this system could host life, and we may be able to infer the presence of that life in the next decade. Wow. Well, that's it for this edition of Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny. Stay tuned to Oxford Community Television, and we'll be right back.
I'm John Ochins, and welcome to the Oxford Wildcats School Update. Our high school kids went to some big-time competitions this week. DECA had their International Business Professional Competition in Nashville. Over 18,000 students. 3 of ours were in the top 10. Congratulations to Binglong Ash, Emily Carrion, and Garrett Terrell. Way to go. Team Torque 2137 were busy too at the first world competition in St. Louis, Missouri. Victoria Funk is a senior on our team.
Last weekend at Worlds, we came into the week first on Wednesday with the drive team just practicing and working further on the robot. Then Thursdays when the qualification matches really started hitting, and we had a good go. I think we had 8 wins, 2 losses out of our 10 matches, and the qualifications continued on Friday. And then Saturday morning was when we started picking alliances. At the end of Friday, we ended in 10th place. We ended in the 10th rank out of 75 teams in our division of 600 teams at Worlds. So we were able to move up all the way up to the 6th alliance captain, and we made our alliance and we started competing quarterfinals. We had a rough match, so we ended up getting eliminated at quarterfinals, but we had a great time. The robot did amazing, and I think we were a great representation of Oxford.
She shares her feelings.
I think we were doing really well compared to how we started off at states. We didn't start off with as many issues. It wasn't Murphy's Law, as we called it. So we were a bit more relaxed and comfortable with it.
They also won the Pitt Safety Award. Teacher Phil Kimmel is one of their mentors.
Championships, and actually this will be the last time that it is a true World Championships. What they've normally had is 600 teams come to St. Louis and everybody competes for one prize. Now moving forward, what they're actually going to do is they're going to split the championship into 2 places. First is growing so fast. There's so many teams that are coming on board that they're actually going to have one championship in Texas, in Houston, and then another championship in St. Louis. So they're going to split the field up that way. But I think for us, it was a great experience. We've been there the last 5 years, and the students each year learn something new. There's a lot of stuff that they come unknowns that they come into that they have to problem solve, reason through, and then in a timely manner, sometimes under some pretty serious pressure, get the job done. And I think one of the big things for us was we had a robot that was pretty good. We covered all of our bases. We could score, we could play defense, we had a great autonomous mode, but we weren't the best at anything. And through all of our, I told the students, through all of our fabrication work, our CAD work, our electrical and programming work, our mechanical team, we kept playing above where I think we probably should have placed. We did an excellent job of scouting, strategy. Our drive team did an awesome job, and I think we placed ahead of where we should.
Over at Oxford Bridges, Senior Shamia Bourgeois is the winner of a statewide investment contest. Teacher Nicholas Cost explains.
It's an investment simulation game. It lasts for 8 weeks. Students start with $100,000 in the bank, and based on the NASDAQ market, they have to research different companies, buy certain amounts of stocks, and during this process we learn about managing stocks and bonds and portfolios and things like that.
I asked Shamia what her big buy was.
Priceline. It's a stock.
What was there about Priceline that took your interest?
I don't know, it's just like a random one, because I just pick random stocks to invest in.
Shamia will be attending a gala dinner at the Federal Reserve Bank of Detroit. Congratulations. Another 5th grade exhibition over at Oxford Elementary this week. We stopped by as they were getting ready for the big night. At the beginning of the school year, we told you about We Can Make a Difference out at Leonard Elementary. This is a project raising money to send goats to those in need in Africa. Principal Paul McDivitt gives us some great results.
And the goats are used for all kinds of things. They're used for milk, they're used in their farming, they're used for fertilizer, they're used for their meat, and all kinds of different ways they're used. But they're very valuable commodities. And so last year we did a can drive, but we ended up getting private donations and things like that, and we were able to raise enough money to send 5 goats, and the original goal was 1, and we surpassed that, and we were able to send 5 last year. So we decided to do the same thing this year, but kind of ramp it up a little bit, make it a little bit more known throughout the school and the community. And we wanted to meet what we did last year, because we were pretty impressed with sending 5 goats last year. And this year we doubled that. We raised over $750 and sent 10 goats to Africa.
It was Teacher Appreciation Week in Oxford. We paid a visit to Lakeville Elementary.
I brought her a card that says love, thank you from to Mrs. Kiedis, and then I brought her a picture of her favorite flowers, daisies, the white daisies and the yellow daisies, and plus I said to Mrs. Kiedis from Roland.
So why did you do all that?
Because it's Teacher Appreciation Week.
Yeah, but do you really appreciate Mrs. Keenis, really?
Uh-huh.
I mean, is she that good?
Uh-huh.
She is?
Uh-huh.
What makes Mrs. Keenis so great? She teaches you guys stuff? Have you learned more now?
She gives us Band-Aids.
And she gives you Band-Aids?
Yeah.
Perfect. Very nice.
I feel very appreciated today.
That's the Oxford School update for this week. Good luck to Auto Tech as they go to Mites. This is Oxford Community Television, keeping it local.
Back with you on Oxford News this week. Time for Oxford sports, and not a great week on the varsity baseball field for the Oxford team. Crosstown foes, the Lake Orion Dragons, gobbled the Cats up like a turkey at Thanksgiving. Oxford School varsity fell to Lake Orion the first game 10-0. Again, the doubleheader, not much of a great game for them as well. The Cats only got 1 hit, which came on the batter, and the game. Oxford High School varsity baseball fell to Lake Orion in game 2. That score there not as bad, 3-0. Justin Allen went 2 for 3 with a single and a double. Ben Nuss collected only the other hit again, falling foe to those crosstown rivals, the Lake Orion Dragons. We jump out to the court. Oxford tennis faring pretty well. May 3rd contest, perfect day for tennis. The weather was wonderful, and Oxford beat Southfield 8-0. Oxford is undefeated at mid-season for the tennis. Oxford High School girls varsity tennis also took to the court against Ferndale. That game on Cinco de Mayo, I should say, that match, Ola, they score there 8-0 as well. Congratulations on the undefeated contest going for the girls tennis team. Oxford High School girls varsity tied Clarkston High School at zip. Strong game were played by both teams. Oxford High School girls varsity beat Lake Orion 1-0 though later on. The game was tied at 0 at the half. After a foul by Lake Orion, it resulted in an Oxford-only kick on a penalty kick by Karina Parker. Oxford kept Lake Orion's attempt for a goal to win the game. They beat the Dragons there. And checking out our softball players, Oxford varsity softball beat Holly a score of 11-0. Hannah Vachon pitched a perfect game at 8 strikeouts. Chloe Allen went 1 for 3. Logan Medell went 2 for 4 with an RBI. Caitlin Bean 1 and 2. Hannah Vachon 2 and 3. Alex Brown went 0 and 2 with 2 RBIs. Nicole Kessler again, that powerful softball team for Oxford. Check this out. Save yourself a fin and win. Yes, I just came up with that little slogan for the Oxford Athletic Department. $20, you can get a sports physical June 9th. Oxford Athletic Sports Physical Day is sponsored by McLaren Oakland. Again, Thursday, June 9th at the Oxford High School. If you register early, it only costs $20 online. Save a fin and win. That's how I came up with that. If you're at the door, you have to pay $25. Again, still a reasonable price. You might want to start thinking about that for your athletes coming up this fall. They're going to need those physicals. Check it out. Hey, while you're on that website, you can check out the schedules and scores of your Oxford athlete. It's the oxfordathletics.org, all one word. In fact, that's where we're getting all our sports stories now. Again, a great place, a great resource, oxfordathletics.org, the online home of Oxford Wildcat sports. While you're on the web, check our website out. It's always there 24/7, OCCTV.org. Hit the programs tab, YouTube tab. You can watch any one of the programs on your computer, iPad, or phone, wherever you choose to watch anything, even our sports and meetings, whatever you want to watch at your time. Check our website out. We do air our sporting broadcasts, a powerful few weeks coming ahead with sports, Saturday and Sundays between the hours of 1 and 6 p.m. I urge you to tune in. Going to see some great contests on OCTV. Again, log on our website when you can, OCCTV.org. Again, take care of yourselves till we do it all over again. Enjoy. I'm Jamie Hughes for Oxford Sports.